Welcome to Talking Muppets, the most sensational, inspirational, celebrational, Muppetational podcast. I am Dando, joined right now by Muppet expert extraordinaire, Jayden LeBron. How you doing, Jayden?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Now, it's been a big week here in Muppets World. Obviously, the special aired last week. How you been? Have you rewatched the show at all?
I've seen it probably 4 times now, and I've still been rewatching the clips of the theme song and Rizzo singing and the Don't Stop Me Now final number. It's iconic, and I think it's resonating too. The ratings have been a wonderful success. It's been trending in the top 10 category for the past week since it's dropped on Disney+. And people have gotten a lot of buzz around it. There's been talks about future episodes being pinned even prior to the show being picked up. And I think right now we may be experiencing a Muppet Renaissance.
I think so indeed, yeah. And that's what we're going to be doing here today. We're going to be talking through what we think could be potential guests if the show were to be officially picked up, because no official announcement has come yet. But I'm actually surprised by that, because you're just touching on the rating success. So I've just looked it up here. So on ABC, because it aired on Disney+, but ABC got a TV broadcast as well, on February 4th, it pulled in 3.07 million viewers on the Wednesday night time slot on ABC. And more importantly, it earned a 0.52 rating in the adults 18 to 49 demographic, the highest of any show for the night across all broadcast networks. So Muppets essentially won TV for the night.
And I'm not surprised, because in its heyday, the Muppet Show was watched in over 100 countries, I believe, was gathering some 200 million viewers per show, and definitely has stood the test of time, has proven itself to be a rating success, a critical success, and I think should they invest in more episodes, we'll certainly be seeing more of that down the line.
Yes. Now, as I was saying, we're going to be running through potential guests who we think are going to be appearing on the show. I'm going to kick off. This is someone who's a little bit left of field, but he has a lot of connections to the Henson family. He worked particularly under Lisa Henson at the Harvard Lampoon. Do you know who I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
That is Conan O'Brien.
Oh, yes. I can see that happening. I met Conan a few years ago in front of the Fox studio lot in Los Angeles. Very funny guy. He made me laugh a few times. And I think he understands character. He understands funniness and randomness and zaniness. He's worked with the Muppets in a handful of appearances that they've done on his show, and I could certainly see that working. I think I can.
I just think his brand of insanity it fits so well in The Simpsons. When you watch The Simpsons episodes that he wrote, you know it's a Conan episode. And I think that insanity almost evolves from that Muppet universe. I feel like that would really mesh well with the Muppets. Plus, I also think we could get a guest appearance from Triumph the Insult Comic Dog.
I was thinking that too. Since you said that, there's actually this very funny appearance. I think the dog's name was Kelly. And it's this dog that keeps shooting things, that keeps killing people. And there's this little bit that they do. This little Kermit puppet is sitting on the couch being interviewed by Conan, and then the dog pulls out a gun and shoots it. I didn't know that they could do that on the show. That would be a hilarious callback if they had Rolf or Baskerville or someone pull a gun on Kermit and they recreated that. I think I'd love to see something like that, something that touches up on that.
Maybe we can have like a Muppet Show adults only special or something. I don't think you can do that on the normal show. But I just watched I'm going to be touching on this episode a little bit later with one of my guests, future guests as well, the Liza Minnelli episode. I watched it with the kids the other day. And I was surprised,
Yes.
I know they make it very clear at the start of that episode that this is all a play, no one's really hurt, that knife in Scooter's back's just all pretend, but still,
That's right.
there's a gun on screen, bang, and I know, as I said, I know they say this is all fake, but still, they're firing a gun on the Muppet Show. I was kind of surprised by that.
I actually watched that too. After I watched the Sabrina Carpenter special, I started revisiting some of my favorite episodes from the classic show. That is one of my favorite ones, probably top 5 episode for me is Liza Minnelli. And I think why it's so strong is because of its adult humor and the gunplay and the knife play. If they can do something in a Conan episode, I'm all for it. I love seeing Muppets with guns and knives and cannons and fire and things like that. If they can make it as wacky and as cartoonishly violent yet safe as possible, I think Conan's definitely a good contender for that.
You could almost have Conan being too wacky for the Muppets, like they can't keep up with Conan. You know?
Too tall for the Muppets, too.
Yeah, exactly. Now, who have you got on your list? Who are you going to kick off with?
Okay, so I let me just address this first. I have
Mm.
two rules of thumb here, and one is the classic show business saying, "Do no harm." Okay, so it's got to be somebody who's non-controversial, who's generally universally beloved, and can't have been a Muppet Show guest before, and I'm talking Muppet Show and Muppets Tonight, or even really a Muppet movie. If it was a cameo, that's fine, but I generally don't want to see people that have already done leading roles or major productions with the Muppets. And so for that, my number one is Beyonce.
Mm.
Beyonce is very much a star in her own right. I think a legend, a living legend, if you will, and has had such a profound role in the music industry that I think she'd play well with the sort of competition against Miss Piggy, if there is one, or even friendliness. I think there may be some kind of a friendly rivalry between the two.
I don't think you want to go back to that well too soon because that's what you did with Carpenter, didn't you? Yeah.
Right, yeah. I could actually see them being besties in this one
Yeah.
and maybe sort of one-upping Kermit or doing something like that that gets under his skin. But when I was making this list, I was looking through her discography, and I thought the song, "All the Single Ladies" would be a funny one.
Came straight to my head as well. Yeah.
Yes, they have a lot of female Muppets that they don't really use and haven't really been performed. So if they can get an episode that's very womanly, that's very, centered around the female Muppets, I think that'd be a good song for them to do. I think it'd be hilarious if Sam the Eagle had an issue with that. This notion of single women promotes promiscuity, or it defies the sanctity of marriage. I could see them doing something like that, and I could see Sam having a fit. I could see Kermit trying to appease both Sam's prudishness and the sort of wing of uh, ladies and Beyonce together. So I think there'd be some good potential with that one.
I'm just envisioning Miss Piggy doing the single ladies dance, the hands and
She
whatnot.
did that actually,
Yeah.
which is another reason why she did that in the Muppets ABC series and broke her leg. But
Ah.
I think that'd be a fun one for them to do, a fully choreographed Muppet number with Beyonce being the only human. I think they could definitely and should definitely pull that one off.
Now I've gone for my next one. Another male. This one's an actor, but it's Adam Sandler. And he has done some work with Sesame Street and whatnot. He's written some songs, but I think Adam Sandler just has that childlike aura that would blend in really well with the Muppets' charm. He just seems to
Mhm.
be a guy that everyone can't really say a bad word about. And I think he would have a lot of fun interactions with Fozzie. I think a good story would be him trying to build up Fozzie's self-esteem with his stand-up, potentially helping him come back to Waldorf and Statler at some point. Because we didn't get any Fozzie stand-up in the special, but I'd like to see more of that.
Yeah.
And obviously the bit was always he'd do his stand-up, Waldorf and Statler would interact with him, he'd lose his confidence, he'd walk off stage. I think seeing Statler trying to boost up Fozzie's confidence would be a lot of fun as well. Plus, you could get Sandler writing one of his original, catchy comedy tunes, which I think would obviously just be a
I
viral hit
was
as well.
just thinking that.
Yeah.
Yes, I was just thinking, the Muppets did a lot of backstage numbers, and I could see Sandler with his guitar backstage as opposed to on stage doing a song where all the Muppets surround him, and he's
Yeah.
making he's riffing about all the different characters or something like that, or what the next number's gonna be, or how much he loves the Muppets. I would love to see a Sandler-based song about the Muppets, and I could see them all just looking up at him in awe and sort of vibing to it, and maybe Floyd Pepper joins in on a guitar or something. I could definitely see that happening.
I think I'm looking at my list, and I think what I've done here is I've put together a lot of names that I wished were Muppet Show guests when I was a kid. Like people that I
Yeah.
enjoyed when I was growing up.
Yes, and what's great about this is he's famous for being an SNL alumni cast member, and he's got all these different bits, all these different characters that he could do that work so well with the Muppets. I think this is definitely a good way to go with this.
I think it'd be fun too trying to see Sandler teach the fellow Muppets how to do the Sandler, like trying to teach them. Them trying to do the Sandler
doing that
bit would be
right?
hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that'd be really funny. I definitely agree with that pick. Sandler's a good one. My next one is a bit of a wild card, but I'll explain why. RuPaul Charles,
Mhm.
famous for RuPaul's Drag Race and the multitude of different iterations of that globally. Um, the Muppets have a great deal of influence on today's drag queens. And you could see that in the kind of performances that they do, in the type of show that RuPaul's Drag Race is. It's very Muppety. It's very colorful. There's lots of fur and feathers and
Charismatic.
textures and designs. Yes. And they did work with RuPaul for a brief little stint in Muppets Now, which I think they absolutely could have done more with him, and they should do more with him. I think a full show with him in drag or out of drag would be a funny one. He can sing, he can dance, and the Muppets in drag is very funny. They have a history of doing drag. Kermit's very first number, which they could recreate, was called "I've Grown Accustomed to My Face," and he's got a wig on. This little old Muppet named Yorick devours him, carries him off screen. They did lady wrestling in season 2 of the Muppet Show. I think a full-on drag show would be a funny thing for them to do. And one of the most popular segments in RuPaul's Drag Race is called Snatch Game, where all the contestants portray celebrities and they vote on which one was their favorite. I could see about 6 Muppets being on a panel portraying Snoop Dogg or portraying living or dead celebrities, whichever one they want to do. I think that'd be a funny one to see, like, I don't know, Rolf doing Snoop Dogg or Pepe or something like that, or Miss Piggy in the role of Coolidge, Jennifer Coolidge. Oh, wow! In a Snatch Game performance. I think that has a lot of potential. A Muppet Drag Race show.
Could you have RuPaul play himself and add a drag and play as 2 different characters and the Muppets don't realize?
Yes, that is actually a perfect idea. And it reminds me of the Carol Burnett episode where she was 2 different characters. She was herself and she was this janitor character, the maid. And nobody questioned it. It was just, these are 2 people. Luke Skywalker did it as well with Mark Hamill.
Did.
And it's definitely an amazing opportunity for that. Be funny to have them come on stage at the end and take a bow together. But no, I definitely think that's a fun idea.
Yeah, definitely a great choice. That's way left field. I didn't even think about that one. That's fantastic. I can actually see it happening. I wouldn't be surprised if that one doesn't happen, actually. My next one here is Emma Stone. Now, obviously, incredibly respected actress who I think would shine within the framework of the Muppets. She's clearly a fan herself because I've read that her and Jennifer Lawrence, I believe, are working on a project with Miss Piggy. Have you read this?
Yeah, Miss Piggy movie.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
I don't know that it's been officially greenlit, but they are writing it. Yes.
I'm not sure. A little bit of sidebar. I'm not sure if I want solo Muppet character movies. I think just the Muppet Show is enough. I don't want Disney to go, oh, people want more Muppets and do what they did to Star Wars and everything and just oversaturate to the point where people don't want Muppets anymore. I think if you just keep it focused on the Muppet Show with the occasional Muppet movie, that would work best. But if it gets to the point where, I always say I was a big Star Wars fan, but it got to the point where watching Star Wars almost felt like homework to keep up with all the lore. Yeah, and it wasn't fun anymore.
It was a solo movie now.
Yeah.
I understand that sentiment, and I did think, I remember the Barbie craze and how everything was Barbie. Drinks were Barbie, cars were Barbie, billboards, clouds, all these things, pink, Barbie themed. It was an awesome feeling. And Barbenheimer was a great feeling too. I loved that sort of vibe. I loved that sort of collectivism in celebration of a very popular icon. I could see that with Miss Piggy. I could see the purple gloves and the big lashes and things like that being a trend. I could definitely see that being like the summer blockbuster movie is the Miss Piggy movie. But like you said, it raises questions in the future of the characters in the Muppets if they do these solo-focused movies. It's really odd to think about a Muppet movie without the name Muppet in the title. And it would technically be a Muppet movie, but when you go into this, I think a lot of people would expect not to see so many of their favorite characters as part of the ensemble, and most of it being Miss Piggy, who in her own right is something of an ensemble character in the Muppet movies. So it'd be a change of pace for sure.
I think Miss Piggy works best when she is against the other Muppets, especially Kermit and whatnot. I just don't think I want an MCU like a Muppet Cinematic Universe. I don't want that to eventuate. You know what I mean? I just want keep it focused, like you said, like the ensemble cast. When people think of the Muppets, they think of the Muppets with the S on the end, not a particular Muppet. But I chose Emma Stone though because as I was saying, I think she obviously is a big fan of the show. She understands the Muppets, but she has the ability to do goofball, slapstick comedy, but she can also belt out a tune as well, as we saw in like La La Land and whatnot.
That's right. Yes, and she's got an incredible range to her. She's got 2 Oscars already, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
And
Yeah.
that's an amazing feat for someone as young as she is, by the way.
Yeah.
She's done that. She did Poor Things, which showed off a great deal of range for her. I could see that even being a Muppet Lab sketch, as Bunsen and Beaker putting a child's brain into Emma Stone. But and she did a new movie. The name is slipping me right now, but it's from the same director as Poor Things, where she's this alien boss, this alien queen.
Bugonia, is that the one?
Yes, Begonia.
Yeah.
That's a very fun premise. Not very Muppety, but I could see them doing at least a parody of that to some degree.
Yeah.
I could see her playing all sorts of different characters and being in very scientific themed sketches and things of that nature.
100%. All right. Who else you got next for us?
Next up, I have Terry Crews, who you may remember. Yes, was in a commercial with the Muppets in 2014 for the Super Bowl ads Toyota Highlander. He appears as himself, assisting the Muppets who are stranded on the roadside, and they hop into his car and just completely change his world. He's driving through the Grand Canyon and Vegas and things like that. He's having the time of his life. But what I especially like about Crews is that he is very much the type that will persist against typecasting, and he's a very buff, tall man. You would think would play these sort of thuggish criminals, hard, looking people, very stern characters. Yes, but he's pushed back against that, and he's shown off a more artistic and sensitive side to himself. He plays the flute, he dances, he loves singing, he paints, he draws, and I could see them doing something in which they want to put on a muscle show with the Muppets, a muscle show, or a heavy lifting show, or a bodybuilding competition, and Crews wants to play the flute. I could see them doing something, and Kermit is in conflict with that because he's got all these large Muppets who want to show off and do a weightlifting competition or something, and Crews just wants to paint or wants to play the flute.
Yeah.
I think that's a very comedic dynamic right there. I think it would show off his sensitive side. I think it would show that you can do something outside of what's expected of you, and would certainly love to see them close off the show with "Making My Way Downtown," that song from White Chicks. I could totally see them doing that with him in that show.
I'm also envisioning, as you're saying that, a storyline where, touching on the muscle show, where potentially there's a Muppet of some kind, say like a Gonzo or a Kermit or whatever, who feels insecure because their muscles aren't as big as Terry's, right? And the message is, and he gets caught. Terry finds him crying backstage or something, and Terry sits him down and has the message of, you don't have to be big. Like, I cry as well. Like, muscles don't mean everything. It's what's inside. So you could also have that positive message coming from Terry as well.
Yeah. Robin the Frog would be a good contender with that one.
Exactly right.
Or one of the smaller Muppets, yeah.
And maybe he could sing him a nice little soft song as well, sort of say, don't worry about your physical nature. It's what's inside that really counts. So I think that'd be a good message for kids watching.
That's the real strength, is what's inside.
Yeah. So exactly. There you go. You've written it already for him. The real strength's inside.
We should be writers for this show.
My next one's another dated one, I guess, but she's got her own talk show now, but she's one of my most favorite actresses of all time. Is Drew Barrymore, right? Similar to the Sandler thing. I just think she's got that real charm that wholesome charm that would fit into the Muppet universe, but she actually has a connection to like the Henson brand, because my favorite film of all time is E.T. I actually named my son Elliot after Elliot from E.T., but she was watching Sesame Street in E.T., which I think would be a real fun callback in some way if they could sort of make that happen during the show. But she was actually interviewed by Sweetums for Muppet Magazine #3 back in the 80s.
Yes.
Yeah, and by the way, you mentioned the Mark Hamill episode before, the Star Wars episode, and that cover, the Muppet Magazine #3, has a fantastic cover of Kermit, Gonzo, and Piggy in their Star Wars outfits from that episode. But yeah, I just think that would be another fun call. Might be a little bit too niche, but I know like a super fan like myself would really appreciate that kind of that niche callback.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's also appeared in various projects with Elmo, and she's had the Muppets on her show as a guest and whatnot. But I just think she'd be really capable of pulling off a successful Muppet Show appearance, because she's just got she can sing, she can act, she can do comedy. She feels like a Muppet Show guest to me.
Very whimsical. I agree. I agree. And it's so funny that you mentioned that magazine because it speaks to my next guest,
Oh,
which is Danny DeVito, who I have here in this
wow,
Muppet
wait,
magazine here.
check him out.
That's right. We have Danny DeVito. And there's this little bit that he's got right there with Statler and Waldorf
Wow.
I thought was very funny. So I think Danny DeVito is actually, I wrote down a three-way tie between Danny DeVito, Meryl Streep, and Dick Van Dyke. Danny DeVito being the first in that three-way tie. Because he has so much potential, and I could see him doing something with Statler and Waldorf. I want to see this bit come to life. I want to see them hanging out. I want to see him squeezed up there in that box, or if they do another episode where they take over the show, I'd love to see him doing something, heckling or teaching Fozzie how to heckle them, or getting under their skin. Something like that. I think he has a very fun vibe. He's the perfect height for the Muppets. But he's got a great vibe to him. He's a very funny guy on Always Sunny with Philadelphia as Frank Reynolds. And the things he says and does are just so comical. But he also, like Terry Crews, has showed himself a more sensitive side. He was the director of Matilda, is very much in touch with children's literature and children's stories, and would work very well with the Muppets, I think.
Oh, 100%. You definitely right. Seeing him squeeze up in that box with Waldorf and Statler would be iconic, an iconic visual in itself, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Part of that tie was Meryl Streep, only because she's a living legend, and they really haven't done anything with her that I can think of. I don't know what an episode would look like. Maybe some callbacks to some of her films. Maybe an Into the Woods bit where she was the witch in that, and they could recreate that for a segment.
Wasn't Miss Piggy playing her role essentially in the first Muppets movie, the 2011 one from Devil Wears Prada?
Yes, that's right. Yes. Yeah, that'd be a fun callback as well.
Yeah.
But she's got an enormous repertoire to draw from and would make a wonderful guest, in my opinion. And Dick Van Dyke was the last one in that three-way tie. He hosted a Muppet special back in 1979, The Muppets Go Hollywood, but was not a guest. And I think that's a missed opportunity. He is still active. He is still dancing and singing at 100 years old. And assuming his strength holds out, I think it'd be wonderful to sort of have that tie-in from the old days of the Muppet Show with today, and have sort of a recognition of the old Hollywood movies that he was very iconic in, Mary Poppins, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. He still sings those songs, and it'd be wonderful to see him sing Chitty Chitty Bang Bang in the old car with the Muppets flying around, or one of the Mary Poppins songs. It's also a Disney brand, so I think there's some potential with that.
Yeah, I think get in while you can, basically. I mean, he still seems like he's pretty spry, especially for his age. It's incredible. I think he was dancing down the red carpet a couple of weeks ago. I was like, what is this man?
Yeah.
But
just turned 100.
Incredibly talented. But it'd also be good, just as you were saying, touching on legends like him as well, to introduce kids to, there were icons outside the past 10 years. You know what I mean? Like, go back to the past and celebrate those past legends like Dick Van Dyke would be fantastic. I've got someone here who I think would just, I don't know her name. So Anne Hathaway, right? Say what you will about Anne Hathaway.
Oh, yeah.
Super talented actor. She's a great singer as well. She's appeared in various Sesame Street projects. I just think she could do a great comedy skit, because I was touching on earlier the Liza Minnelli episode. I think she'd be the ideal guest who could be playing up the dramatics and the theatrics that Liza was doing, and then halfway through the skit, belt out into a big song and dance. I think she'd be very well equipped to do that kind of thing. It's in the Liza episode where, is it Coco Cabana? Is that the song she sings?
Yeah, that's right, yes.
Yeah, that kind of number I think Anne Hathaway would really excel in.
I could see that happening. I definitely recall her in, I think it was the Alice in Wonderland movie. She's in that, and she plays one of the protagonists. I think it's I can't remember the name of the character, but she has a role in that, and she's so fun. It's this very monochromatic character. She's all dressed in white, and everything that she does is sort of revolving around that color. And I could sort of see that eccentric behavior coming out in a character that's got like an all white universe or an all pink setting or something like that, and having a number around that. That just made me think of that. I don't know what else to say about her. I couldn't tell you much else that I remember her in, but she'd be a good guest.
She's got a lot of she can pull off sass real well. So I think her having a bit of a
She can, yes.
attitude with Miss Piggy might be a bit of fun as well. She did play Catwoman. You can maybe do a Catwoman reference in there somewhere. I'm not too
Yeah,
sure.
that's right. She
Yeah.
was Catwoman in the Dark Knight series, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think it was
Yeah.
Dark Knight Rises. I think she was in that one. Yeah, but
Yes.
and Princess Diaries, another. I mean, she was with Meryl Streep in Devil Wears Prada as well.
That's right.
Yeah,
Thing is, she's in so many movies that when you ask me to name one, it's like, God, what hasn't she been?
Yeah.
You know, it's like my mind is blanking.
yeah.
But that's a great pick. And my last pick,
Mm.
this one was a bit of a wild card, but you mentioned Conan. I said The Simpsons, and it can be either an animated hybrid or Dr. Honeydew makes some kind of contraption that muppifies them and they're puppets again. The company Swazzle, which is run by Sean and Patrick Johnson, built Muppet versions of the Simpson characters for one of the episodes many years ago, one of the Christmas episodes,
Katy
The
Perry.
Fight Before Christmas. Yes. And I think if they can rebuild them, and they almost certainly would be able to, that'd be a fun thing for them to do, is have the Simpsons family there, Lisa on the saxophone, you know, during the Zoot intro sequence would be funny, or saxophone solo with Zoot. Homer, and I think Homer getting under Sam Eagle's skin would be funny, or, you know, proving to be slovenly with Miss Piggy. Chowing down on donuts would be a funny bit, or even Marge with Miss Piggy would be fun, or Marge with Kermit. And Bart with Gonzo. Bart with
Yeah.
Gonzo pulling off a
Bart the
skateboard
Daredevil.
stunt. Right, yeah. I think it all mixes together. I don't know how they would do it, but they should do it. And, you know, with the new Muppet Show being under Fox and Simpsons being under Fox, it's like they film it on the same lot. They film the whole thing on the same lot as they do The Simpsons, so it wouldn't be a stretch to have the cast of The Simpsons, you know, come in and record some lines and then have that over, or improvise live and animate around that. I think they can totally do something with that.
I'm envisioning it starts off with them in their animated form, and as you were saying, Bunsen could turn them into puppets. If something goes wrong in Muppet Labs, and boom, now they're puppets. I think they'd have to be puppets for the episode to work. It's just a bit of a novelty, but you have to start and maybe end with them in their normal animated form, so kids at home will be like, "Oh, it's The Simpsons." Because if they just rock up in their puppet form, kids will be like, "What? That's not The Simpsons."
Yeah,
you know?
some kind of transformation.
Yeah, you need to explain why they look like puppets. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's either an opportunity for that sort of live action animated hybrid, which we don't get too much of these days, or just have them as puppets at some point. And either one would be really funny to see. I think, you know, they are living legends in a way, animated living legends, but still very popular, very current.
Oh, the Simpsons are having a resurgence, man, in the last couple of years for sure.
They are, yes. I think it just makes sense. They should be guests on the Muppet Show.
That would be absolutely iconic, actually, you say that. Now, this next one for me, my final one, I'm always too scared to say it because you said no one controversial before. And, and this guy is somewhat controversial, but I feel like with enough time passed, it could work because I feel like there's a lot of potential there within the episode, right? Now, just hear me out. It's Will Smith, okay? Right. Now, I know, you know, obviously I'm 10 years older than you, but when I was growing up in the 90s, he was it, right? You know, he had the charisma, he was in movies, he had his own TV show, he was it. And I know he's been on the blacklist for a while, and he's clearly been struggling with a lot of personal demons in recent years. But I just think that the Muppet Show could be the perfect showcase to remind the world why we fell in love with him in the first place back in the 90s, and potentially help get him personally back on the right track as well, both like personally and career-wise. I think there's so much fun you can have with things like The Fresh Prince as a parody, Men in Black parody, or even like, you know, do you even know the song Getting Jiggy With It, or is that too dated for you?
Getting Jiggy With It, na 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 na.
You can have like him and Kermit singing Getting Froggy With It, or just something like that, right?
Yeah.
I just think it would be the perfect avenue for him to use to try and get himself back on the right track. Whether people will be ready and willing for that, I'm not too sure. I personally would be, because I grew up a big Will Smith fan, and I just hate what he's become in recent years. But I think if people were willing to give him that chance, I think it could be a really big success if done correctly.
They have to do the slap. People are going to be wanting that. They're going to expect it. He has to slap someone.
This would be the perfect sort of structure for him to parody it and sort of apologize in the same way. Acknowledge it, because he's never really publicly acknowledged it and sort of poked fun at himself for it, because it was a ridiculous thing he did. But I think if he can have Miss Piggy slap him or Kermit slap him or something, it's almost like getting the elephant out. Do it in the first scene. Just get it out of the way and have everyone go,
yes,
it happened. You screwed up. Let's try and move forward in a positive manner. Like you said, you have to acknowledge the slap in some way.
Got to do it. You have to do it at this point. People are going to want it. I think if he's on stage and he starts yelling at Statler and Waldorf, keep my Ralph's name out your mouth, that would be hilarious. I would die in my seat of laughter.
I think he'd be willing to poke fun at himself now. Like, he has to. If he's not willing to, then just don't bother doing the show. Obviously, you have to be willing to poke fun at yourself. But I think if he's willing to sort of try and get back into the spotlight in a positive way, I think the Muppet Show is probably going to be the best way for him to do so, really, because no one's really willing to sort of give him the chance anymore, and for good reason. You know, he just needs to get those personal demons out of the way. But I think Will Smith could work, but it's a very controversial option. I'm aware of this.
Yeah, I can see why you say that, and I understand completely. He does deserve some redemption at some point. And if he's on board, I think they have an ample amount of things that they can parody, an ample amount of things I think would fall under the Fox umbrella or the Disney umbrella that they can do. That'd be a fun one. I'd love to see them do the Fresh Prince as Muppets. I could totally see that. The Fresh Pigs of Bel-Air.
Yes, yeah. Who would be the Men in Black, do you think?
I'm thinking Sam Eagle and Fozzie.
That would work, yeah.
Something like that. I'm thinking that, yeah.
But I think, and in saying that, Chris Rock. I think Chris Rock could work as well.
I think so. I think he could work. I think he's funny.
I mean, he sounds like a Muppet.
He does. That'd be a funny one for them to do.
Alrighty. Well, they're just some potential guest guys on who we think could come up on future episodes of The Muppet Show, if it is in fact picked up, which we are all expecting it to certainly be picked up. Don't forget to get in touch with us, talkingmuppets@gmail.com. We'd love to hear what guests you think would work on future episodes of The Muppet Show, or just comment below on this video. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up as well. And if you could please continue to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you do find this show, it would be much appreciated. We do appreciate all the support so far with last week's pilot episode. But before we go, Jayden, you got anything coming up Muppet related? You been purchasing any Muppet toys lately, or what's been going on in the Muppet world for you?
Well, I'm working on a project right now. It's this puppet character for a client. It'll probably be more further along in the next episode, and I can show it off for you. But as far as things go, I am going to be at Comic-Con this year, and I'm excited for that. I'm doing a guest appearance at San Diego Comic-Con. We're going to be having a panel talking about the resurgence of puppetry, and so that's something I'm excited to announce here.
Very, very cool. So any links for that? Oh, obviously links, tickets on sale for that yet? San Diego? They would be, wouldn't they?
I have no idea. But
stay tuned.
I've only ever gotten in for free, so yes, the rest is on you guys.
Well, la-di-da,
yes,
Mr. Frenchman. Yeah, okay. Have you purchased any Muppet collectibles this week?
No. It is Valentine's coming up this week, and I got to save my money for that. But I do have these 3D printed figurines coming in the mail that I purchased recently of Thog and Dog Lion, who were 2 out of 5 of the monsters in the beginning of the special. A friend of mine, Kenny Durkin, prints them out, and we were talking about all these obscure Muppets that really don't have any merchandise. He has a website, and you look up kennydurkin.com, I think. If you want your own Muppet figurine of obscure characters that never get merch, he has the Muppet Snowman from Family Christmas, Bobo the Bear, Thog, Dog Lion, and there's going to be a lot more coming soon.
How big are these figures that you're getting?
Oh, these are in the scale of the Palisades figures.
Oh, perfect.
Dog is about a foot tall, so yeah, I'm excited for that.
Foot tall? Holy moly.
Gotta be.
Yes, exactly right. All right, guys. Well, thank you again for all of your support here at Talking Muppets, and we'll catch you all in the next episode.
Everybody take care, be safe, and I'll see you later.